After nearly 20 years, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad visited China again. Obviously, Syria hopes to discuss future reconstruction plans with China as one of the world's largest economies. China has been focusing on Syria's infrastructure construction market with unprecedented attention. In this context, the three strategic cooperation projects between China and Syria are crucial and may be a golden opportunity to change Syria's destiny. Unfortunately, China's cooperation with Syria faces some challenges and controversies. Some Western media believe that Syria still faces huge uncertainties and that China's investment may be in vain or even face a total loss. Under such circumstances, why does China still insist on supporting Syria? Three important strategic cooperation plans really change Syria. Welcome to Global Visionary, where you will be able to learn about projects cooperation around the world and important information about China. Subscribe to us and discover more interesting events around the world. The civil war in Syria has lasted for nearly a decade since 2011. Years of civil war have severely set back development in Syria, causing the displacement of millions of people and huge economic losses. According to statistics, Syria's GDP in 2020 is only one-third of that in 2010, and its currency is depreciated by more than 90%. In addition, there are about 6.5 million Syrian refugees scattered in neighboring countries or Europe. Their living conditions are very difficult, and they need help and support from the international community. More importantly, although the Syrian government controls about 60% of the territory, it still faces threats from opposition armed forces, Kurdish armed forces, and Islamic State and other organizations. Fortunately, despite all the difficulties, the Syrian people have not given up hope and efforts. They have been fighting to rebuild their homes and hope for a new beginning. Unfortunately, the reconstruction of Syria will require at least $400 billion in initial funding. At the same time, Syria also needs to have large-scale infrastructure construction capabilities. However, the United States imposed severe oil sanctions on Syria at this time and froze $200 million for reconstruction efforts. Seeing this situation, many countries have refused to provide any help in Syria's reconstruction. In desperation, Syria could only turn its attention to China. On September 21st this year, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad paid a three-day state visit to China. This is the first visit to China by a Syrian president since 2003. Obviously, the main purpose of Syria's visit to China is to seek China's investment and cooperation to promote Syria's reconstruction process. During the meeting, the two parties held in-depth discussions on three strategic cooperation projects. Successful implementation of these cooperation projects will have a profound impact on the future of Syria. So what exactly are the contents of these cooperations? A strategic cooperation is that the Syrian government hopes that China will provide support in infrastructure reconstruction. Specifically, Syria needs to build important urban infrastructure such as schools, hospitals, and power stations. According to Western media reports, completing these infrastructures will require at least $80 billion and may take 12 years. If China and Syria can reach an agreement on this, it will greatly promote Syria's reconstruction work. It is expected that within 8 years, most of the projects will be effectively completed. The second strategic cooperation is that Syria hopes that China will invest in building railways. In the past, the total length of Syrian domestic railways reached 2750 kilometers, of which 2423 kilometers were high-quality standard gauge railways. However, the devastation of the war left 95% of the railway system severely damaged. After the war, Syria hoped to get help from China to rebuild its railways. According to the plans of both parties, China will assist Syria in building a railway connecting Iran and Iraq and eventually leading to China. In fact, the three countries of Syria, Iraq, and Iran have common interests. They have begun to cooperate in investing in this railway plan and jointly plan to realize the connection of railways between them. With China's support, Syria will not only strengthen its ties with neighboring countries, but the entire Middle East will also usher in huge development opportunities. Because once the railway is completed, it will provide a link between Iran and the Syrian Mediterranean, and the Syrian coastal port of Latakia will become a transportation hub from the interior of the Middle East to the Mediterranean. This will further promote trade and economic cooperation between the Middle East and the world. As for the third strategic cooperation, Syria hopes to further deepen cooperation with China on Belt and Road projects. As early as 2018, Syria joined China's Belt and Road Initiative. Since then, China and Syria have cooperated on a series of specific projects under the framework of the Belt and Road Initiative. These include the comprehensive development of the port of Aleppo, the construction of the Duma oil refinery near the capital Damascus, industrial parks, and power plants and transmission lines. In 2022, Syria officially signed a Belt and Road Initiative cooperation document with China. China will send additional technical personnel to previous cooperation projects and train more technical talents for Syria. With the joint efforts of both parties, Syria's industrial facilities, such as ports, oil bases, and power plants, will be further repaired and expanded. The production capacity and efficiency of Syrian industry will return to pre-war levels or even exceed pre-2011 levels. At this moment, some Western media announced that China was wrong to assist Syria. They believe that Syria has been affected by severe social unrest and conflict in the past few years. Since 2011, the Syrian civil war has resulted in massive destruction, a humanitarian crisis, and a large number of refugees. In Syria, fighting continues between government forces, opposition forces, terrorist organizations, and international intervention forces. Therefore, China's aid and investment will face extremely high risks and may not achieve the expected returns. So why does China still help Syria? Why does Syria deserve so much attention from China? On the one hand, Syria's geographical location is very important. Located at the intersection of Asia, Africa, and Europe, it is of geopolitical and economic importance. As the capital of Syria, Damascus has historically been one of the important transit points on the ancient Silk Road, connecting trade and cultural exchanges between the East and the West. Therefore, Syria has huge potential for economic development. As the conflict gradually eases, Syria is expected to use its geographical location and historical heritage to restore and develop trade and tourism, and once again become an important transit point in the Mediterranean region. On the other hand, China's assistance to Syria can not only enhance China's influence in the Middle East, but also help promote the implementation of the One Belt, One Road initiative. With the end of the Syrian war, China is expected to further consolidate its geopolitical influence in the Middle East through cooperation with Syria. At the same time, China's use of Syria as a springboard for Middle East affairs helps promote peace and stability in the region. This will not only benefit global economic development, but also reduce the geopolitical influence of the United States on Middle Eastern countries. In addition, China's help to Syria is also of great significance to China. This is because there are many cooperation opportunities between China and Syria, especially in the energy field. Syria has abundant oil and natural gas reserves, ranking 7th in the world. As a country with strong demand for resources, China relies on imports for about 70% of its oil and gas supply. Therefore, if Syria can provide energy support to China in the future, it will benefit the common interests of both parties. In addition to the above reasons, there is another key reason. That is, the situation in Syria reminds people of China's past difficulties. Many years ago, China also experienced war and oppression. The people of both countries have strong common feelings. Over time, China has made great achievements in development and actively helped other backward countries by providing assistance in building infrastructure. I hope that Syria can learn from China's experience and actively develop with China's help and finally get rid of the vision of completing post-war reconstruction.